which means they're going to have to ask to have their cameras turned back on. So pay attention. Let's keep an eye out for that in the chat.
Yeah.
So. Okay, we are live streaming right now.
Awesome. So I'll get started with the introduction. Hello, everybody in Facebook, YouTube land, etc. land. This is CLCI Live Lunch and Learn. We are with the Coaching 102 students who are about to graduate as Master Certified Life Coaches. And so what we do on this Lunch and Learn, me and Brooke are business and marketing experts here at CLCI Live. We will answer all of your business and marketing questions or coaching questions or questions about anything. We'll do whatever we can to get some content through this hour. To quickly introduce myself, my name is Anthony Lopez. I am the project director with Certified Life Coach Institute. I've also worked with Brooke at a business and marketing firm. My expertise is copywriting, language, project process improvement, things of that nature. Brooke, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Brooke. I have been doing the marketing here and also just all kinds of stuff. Strategy. I'm the chief strategy officer here, and I ran a successful marketing company that Anthony is also part of with me, and happy to answer any and all questions you have to the best of my ability and our ability. And I think I'm also a coach. I hold my ACC credential. I'm working on my PCC and should have that by the end of the year. So, well, at least applied for it. So if you have any questions in any of these spaces, would love to answer them. So.
Yes, and people in YouTube and Facebook land can also ask questions as well. Brooke, you'll be monitoring those areas.
Yes, I will do my absolute best to do so. Yes.
So we can get started with the questions. I see Nicole and Maisha in the chat with their cameras on. You guys have any questions you want to get us started with?
Let me see. I don't have a question yet, but anything that you could offer to an established coach. I have a coach. I have my own business. I have clients. And just trying to continue to engage. I specialize in transformation. I'm a transformational life coach. And so anything that you would throw at me that can be beneficial business-wise as a businesswoman would be helpful.
So I guess business-wise, my question is, how do you go beyond transformational coaching? In just the description, what is being transformed? How about that? Ask that.
What is to be transformed?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, so transformational coaching, I have to share. So transformational coaching is going from the outer to the in. So it's the growth from inside out. So once a person goes from a reset, that's the name of my company, Reset, but Reset You Coaching Services. But once you go from working with a client that helps them identify the things that they uniquely need for themselves and how they see themselves, how they want to see themselves in the future, in the family, in their community, in the world. Once they have that, then from there, the goals that they want to reach are very accessible. And so as I work with my clients, I work with my clients with redefining who they say they are. And once they click into that, then all the goals that they have set for themselves have been attainable.
Brooke?
Where do you pull your clients from? Where do you get your clients from?
I get my clients from Psychology Today, from life coaching, from Black coaches that coach, Black women that coach, from word of mouth.
That's awesome. Amazing. Yeah. So it sounds like you have an awesome network. I mean, as far as continued engagement goes, I think that always finding a way to involve them, help them, remind them that you're present and there. You know, I'm always for giving to our clients and creating things of value for them, whether that be tools, whether that be, you know, blogs, lists, just sort of having access and resources for your both prospective clients and even current clients that they can access and sort of being able to do that. So really sitting down and asking yourself, what does your client need? How can you help them, and how can you create tools to do that? I think also the creating community is always a great thing with in these spaces where people can share their experiences with one another and sort of develop and grow. My cat would like to say hello to everybody every time I talk.
Hello. Funny, because I was thinking about, well, I'm in the process of launching out group coaching sessions.
Oh, great. Yeah. That's the kind
So, yeah. And so that's something that's new in this setting for me. And just, I've been having a little bit of anxiety about the engagement part of the group portion.
And the great thing about the group coaching is it creates an offering at a lower price point. You can, for clients that maybe aren't ready for the higher price point yet. So you can offer that group coaching, put it in a space that more people can have access to it. And because I'm sure, as you've seen, even in this class, whenever we do a demo and somebody is coaching somebody else and you get to witness it, we are all learning from that, right? That's something that's beneficial and educational to all of us, both as human beings and as coaches. And so I think that holding those kind of group coaching events are very beneficial. And you'll find that other big coaches often do that. They often are able to hold both virtual and in-person events where they get people in a room and they then coach in front of them and allow for folks to ask questions or participate, or even, depending on what they're doing, if it's for other coaches, try it out themselves as well. So, yeah.
Does a curriculum need to be developed, or can it be as need? How does that go?
So I think that it really depends on you and what your client. So I think it's really it depends on how you're, I guess, presenting or what you're doing with it. So I've been in situations where we created curriculum for other coaches that were doing group coaching sessions, and they were doing it over the course of a period of time. So this was a 6-week or a 12-week kind of thing. And each week she would hold a group coaching session. This is the one I'm thinking of currently, would hold a group coaching session and then give them like a workbook. And they would go and work on the tools themselves and then come back and discuss. So they would meet regularly, but that was very this is going to be over the course of 12 weeks. I've also seen one-off events happen where, it's a big, you get a bunch of people in a room, you hold a group coaching session, everybody can witness it. And that's all it needs to be, right? And everybody learns from that. Often I would say that you want to open up the floor for folks who have questions in those spaces and allow for, because typically you're only coaching, one person, but it's that other folks are able to watch. So I would open up the floor and allow those watching to ask questions and sort of open it up to them. And you can also keep it short, and maybe it's micro group coaching sessions, but I would say that you want to get everybody in the room that has a like-minded, you want like-minded human beings in a room, right? So you're marketing, but you're still marketing to your same client, that whoever that person is. It's just that you're getting them all into one room together. I think you'll be able to help them, and you'll find it's much more beneficial by doing that, because it's gonna help ensure that what you're offering really is beneficial to the people in the room. Yeah.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure.
Answer questions in the chat. Angie has 3, and then Maisha will be back with a question. What is a good way to gain our first client? I'm going to answer this in a very simple manner. The good way and the quick way to gain a first client is to do reciprocal coaching.
Yeah, so that's
trade coaching sessions with other people. However, I'm going to read between the lines and sort of extend that to, how do you get your first paid client?
That's what I was going to ask. Are we saying paid or pro bono?
Yeah, because I can just say, just trade coaching sessions, offer a free coaching session to someone. There, your first client. That's probably not what people are wanting, though. A good way to transition is with testimonials, though, because a person who wants to pay for coaching, they want to know that they're getting a good product and service and that it meets some sort of standard. And the best way to get that sort of standard is showing that you've already coached somebody before. So
I'm also going to say that's.
No,
keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt, Anthony.
Whoever your first clients are, they're free clients, they're reciprocal coaching clients. to sort of get that foundational experience. You want to get that testimonial and maybe even possibly word of mouth to show that you are competent and capable of what you're doing. Anything beyond that, we start to get into marketing, Brooke, which might be your wheelhouse.
And I'm gonna take it. That's a huge question. How do I get my friends? That's a giant. Like there's so many ways to run with that. First of all, I would say to know who your client is. But I think you can even get one without, when you're still unsure. And I'm gonna say it's as simple as asking. It's as simple as putting it out there and letting people know, whoever it may be. If you are doing reciprocoaching and it's that this is about the paid client, whoever you're reciprocoaching, tell them to ask them, do you know anybody else that can help me? Will you give me a testimonial? Will you do these things? Sometimes we forget that step, right? We forget that I just need to ask, right? I need to put myself out there. I need to tell people this is what I'm doing and then start to get them through the door. It can also be, it depends on what it is. There's so many spaces that can be used successfully. And that's when we start to dive into marketing. And that's when I say, you need to know who your client is. You need to know where they're at. You need to know how to reach them. But if you're just wanting to get out there and get somebody in the door, it can be as simple as asking. It can be as simple as finding, do you know anybody who needs my services? Being willing to talk about what it is that you do and how you help people, and not being afraid to put yourself out there. Truthfully, I just thought pop in, how is the best way to ask for a referral? I will say that referrals are such a powerful tool, a tremendously powerful tool, because when somebody's being referred, it's typically that there's an established level of trust. We're not having to create trust out of nothing. So if I am looking for, I gave this example, I'm looking for a dentist. I've been asking people I trust who their dentists are. And I'm much more inclined to go with somebody that somebody else recommends, barring a couple things. Of course, I'm going to do my own vetting. I'm probably going to call if I can't get an appointment for a lifetime. If there's all these little things that make it inconvenient, then boom, they're out. There's lots of ways I will also eliminate, but that's why knowing who your client is and what they want and what their needs are, and also being able to tailor your services to their needs. And that means not just what you do, but how you deliver it, is really going to help you hand over fist within, with getting a client and gaining a client. But there is a ton of ways out there.
I want to add as well to like directly answer the question, how is the best way to ask for a referral? Either by asking, hey, can you make do you know anybody can you make a referral? Or you incentivize the referral, like what we do at CLCI. If somebody refers a student, the student gets $50 off the registration. The person who referred gets $50.
And you can build in referral programs like that, who also, so if you have clients that are there, hey, if you know anybody else and you refer them to me, I will take, you get $50 off your session, or you get free, you get a free session, or you can do ways to incentivize people recommending you, because sometimes our clients don't even think about that until we say it to them, right? They don't, in the same way we forget to ask and say, this is what we do, our clients forget to think, oh, wait, I could be helpful by referring this coach to people who are trusted, to people that could also benefit from their services. So it's a two-pronged step. Remind your clients to refer you if you're doing a good job, and even you can even incentivize that, but also ask for yourself. Now, there are other ways to get referrals. Get to know anybody who, get to know a coach who coaches a different kind of human being. That maybe is in the same realm as you, and you guys can refer with it in one another. Get to know a therapist, get to know any number of people who are in a world of helping people. What you offer is a unique service to a unique human being. So you can develop relationships with other folks who do the same. Heck, if you were a health coach, you could link up with a physical therapist, and maybe there are people who want to reach goals when they complete their physical therapy or while they're going through their physical therapy, and you could be there as a coach for that. If you were coaching divorced women, find attorneys, or find groups like where there are those women, and get in there, get to know who's running the group, and ask for referrals. This is why knowing your client is so important, because it helps you figure out where to ask these questions, and where to go to find to who to speak to network, as it were. So
Maisha, you got your hand raised for a little while.
I do. So I have a question. I already have like a social media platform, right? And so I was trying to figure out how, if I wanted to co-brand, right? I think as a hairstylist, people naturally think of us as therapists, so to speak, right? That just comes with our territory, barbers and hairstylists. That's the first thing that people always say, just because that just is what it is. But I was thinking about possibly just adding that element to my bio, right? On that, and then saying, also like on this other side of, and then putting in my beauty, mind, and wellness. So I was going to do that and then put underneath it to connect the two pages in some sort, just to get a traffic, a flow, so that I can start to like do quotes and like just different things to try to build interest. What do you think about that?
So, while not again, I mean, I'm for the idea of co-marketing, and if you already have a platform, utilize that. It's knowing where the traffic is going and where it's coming from is the big point, because you down the line are going to want to know the numbers on who's coming to your site or your platform for strictly, hairstyling, and those who come for strictly coaching, and maybe figuring out, are the people from hairstyling also going to coaching, and maybe the people who do coaching with you, are they also going to be wanting to do hairstyling? So having those sort of analytics in place on whatever platform you're using to sort of track those things is very important. Which, I mean, what platform are you using, if you don't mind me asking?
My Instagram. Well, here's the thing also. I'm not a hairstylist where you can call. I know this is this is like so terrible, but because I'm a celebrity, it's just comes with the territory. Because I'm a celebrity hairstylist, I hate saying that, but it is true. But because I am a celebrity hairstylist, what happens is that I have that platform, but you can't just call me to get your hair done. I'm not that accessible, right? Okay, just to put that out there, because it's not like people might DM me and ask me, what did I use on a particular celebrity, or I become more of this consulting kind of thing on Instagram, because I'm not accessible in that way. I'm a referral to referral basis, right? Something like that. And so what happens is that that's why I think it could be also kind of good. And I don't think that I will like do too much posting on my main page about it. I might do like a little in the very, very beginning in my story, just to introduce my accolade of being like, yay, I passed, I'm now certified, and then crossing it over, you know what I mean? I do think they go hand in hand, but then I also feel like people aren't necessarily, that traffic is not coming just to get their hair done as well. They also, I do get people that are asked, other hairstylists, and like people like, how long you been in the business? Why are you doing this? So people are already kind of like asking me. Okay, you go ahead.
Yeah. So, well, I think a big part of this is knowing who your client is, right? You know who your hairstylist client is. Who is your coaching client?
That's what I've been trying to separate right now.
Because yes, I think having a warm market is fantastic. So, but keep in mind, like you said, the people going to you may not be, the people on your Instagram might not be who you want to be your client, right? Or they might be, who knows? Like maybe that is what's going on. You're like, no, this is what I want. I want to coach other hairstylists who want to start their own businesses and do what I do, which sounds like is a lot of that following. Then that's a natural resource for that, right? But if your client is the celebrity that's sitting in your seat, right? If that is who your client is, then it's gonna be less about pulling them from that Instagram, right? And more about same way, converting them through referral, converting them through what it is that you do, and them being in your chair. You aren't the first hairstylist we've had come through that wants to move their business to life coaching. Because I know I get my hair done, we sit, we talk. What do? We talk for an hour and a half. Like and it's this sort of feels like this natural progression. So I don't know if that's who you're pulling your client from, if it's a progression, or if you want a whole different clientele.
I think it's more, I think it is a new clientele. However, what I do think, and it just kind of came to me, and something that you said, which helped me to kind of come to this. I think that what it is that just making that introduction of these are the service that my new services that I have to offer. Here is this page. Here is what I'm doing. Here's what's new in Celebrity Hairstylist Maisha's life, right? Because everybody wants to know what you're doing. So here's what's new. Hey, this is what I have going on. And then if they like, oh my gosh, like, oh, I know somebody that might need these services. So maybe I'm using that as the like, do you know what I'm?
Yes, absolutely. This is what I do. Tell people about what I do. Exactly. Yes. And then you're going to start to draw, how to get clients, right? It sounds like, you've got a successful hairstylist business. So use the same tools and know-how and apply it in this life coaching. And I think that they can cross streams, right? You don't want to just let go of a warm market and not utilize it to your advantage. So use that to your advantage. Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
I would just make sure that you've got once you're pulling people over to that life coaching page, once they're moving into that life coaching space, there's a clear message for them there. This is life coaching. This is what I do. This is how I do. Right. So you have both. They can refer to each other, but there's a clear message in each space.
I like that. Have a clear message as to what this space, what this is, what this involves. And I got that. That was very helpful. Thank you so much.
I'm getting lots of people are sending me direct messages in the chat. I
got a DM as well, Brooke.
I barely get to read the chats, so please send them to everyone if you can, because there's a chance I won't be able to get to them.
Yeah, I'm also going to ask as well this person who DM'd me, just to make sure if it's okay, I can share the question.
Yeah. That's the other thing, is we never know.
I don't know if this is something they want me to just answer.
How do we increase followers? Okay, so how do we increase our Well, I would definitely say increasing followers can be done by being consistent, by being active, by being in social media. So important. I think a lot of people think that your job as somebody who is on social is just to throw a post up and then call it good every so often. But truth of the matter is, if you want to grow a following, you got to get out there and be active. You got to be looking at other people's social, interacting with other people's social. You have to be co-marketing and reaching out to people. There's, so many ways. So keep in mind when you are out there, if you want to increase followers and increase mind, let me draw a hard line here too, though. Because you can increase followers by just going out and buying followers, right? But what you want is to increase followers that are active on your account, that are organic, that are interested in your services, and that will eventually become paying clients, right? That's the big ask there. That's really what we want, because we can get empty followers all day. What you want, truthfully, is followers that will engage. I would rather have fewer followers that are engaging and paying me money than 100,000 followers that don't really care. So how do you do that? You do that by being active, using your social, reaching out to people with followings like yours, using hashtags. There's a lot of different ways, but it's about creating relevant and consistent social media that is enriching and beneficial to the person who uses it. So, and that person should be your client or somebody you'd like to be your client. So whatever you're creating is for your clients. And you can enrich their lives in a lot of ways. The back of the level 1 book, we have a whole list of ways to do that, and that will always help. Quick way too is co-marketing. Find people with other followings that are in your wheelhouse, reach out to them and see if you guys can cross post, if they'll post about you, if they'll tell people to follow you. When you use socially and you tap into other people, you can grow your following pretty quickly. Absolutely, you can.
Brooke, I can't address the question that was sent to me in a DM, so I'm
Okay.
just going to go. There's a few questions in, so I'll just go by question and ask them. In this post-pandemic kind of world, can you do digital only sessions, or do people want the face-to-face elements?
I
Both.
have been digital only since like that is my jam.
I prefer digital only, but face-to-face, there is a group, there are people who want face-to-face.
Yes, there are.
And I know at least I can't say for coaching, I'm speaking from experience from people I know who've done therapy. There are people who only want face-to-face therapists. They know teletherapy or like Zoom therapy exists. They're not interested. They want to talk to a person, and the same can be said about coaching. What
It
is
can go either way.
Yeah.
Wait, to be fair, it can go either way. Again, one of the things, and I've said this just a few minutes ago, is knowing your client, right? So if you are somebody who is virtual, that your client is not, your ideal client is not going to be somebody who only wants the in-person. But if your client is that person that only wants the in-person, then you better change your business strategy. You better switch and be willing to do in person. When I say coaching isn't just about what you do in the session, to build a really powerful coaching brand, it's how you deliver the session. It's how you deliver your services, how you accept payment, how you, all of these things. If you tailor make that to your ideal client and make it as effective, as convenient, and deliver it in such a way that is ideal for your ideal client, you are creating a product that will be unmatched, that for that ideal client, there's going to be nobody else in the world. Why? Because you deliver it to me just how I want it, whether that be in person or virtual. She accepts Venmo, Zelle, and Cash App, so I don't ever have to worry, right? Like, I pay up front, and that holds me accountable. So I'm going to show up. Like, these are all things that if you tap into that ideal client brain and make your offering so that it works really well for your client, it's gonna be make you irresistible. I would say.
I'm gonna keep addressing the questions that she asked me. And can you be successful pulling clients without Facebook? And by extension, is LinkedIn as effective? Let me first go into the difference between LinkedIn and Facebook. Those are two different audiences you're going for, just by virtue of what the social media audiences are. Facebook is for, I guess, really for anybody and everybody, whereas LinkedIn is for more
not even everybody. It's older. Like, you're not going to
it's older, but it's geared towards, not a really specific niche of people, whereas LinkedIn is more specific in that it's for people who want to network, who are business people, who are professionals.
I'll also tell you this. One of the benefits of Facebook that is really unmatched by any other social media platform is you can find out more about your ideal client on Facebook than anywhere else in the world, because Facebook and social media, they monitor if you got a new job, if you got a new relationship, all of these things are things that people post about, and it makes it a great way for you to pull a lot of information about who that ideal client is. But your ideal client may not even be there. Right?
And to further address the question, Brooke, have you ever worked with a wannabe entrepreneur who doesn't want to have a Facebook presence? Yes, we have.
Absolutely.
The question is, though, are you avoiding Facebook because that's not where your client is? Or are you avoiding Facebook because you simply don't like Facebook or social media? And to honestly answer those questions for yourself is going to point you to whether, avoiding Facebook is a good business decision, or you are maybe doing yourself a disservice by avoiding it.
You may also just dislike Facebook so much that it is a good business decision for you not to be on there, because it's gonna never be authentic. It's never gonna be real. And in which case I would say, then don't use it. Stay away from it. Then.
Like, I don't like Facebook. I will go out and say, I don't have a Facebook. I'm glad I don't have a Facebook anymore. For business, though, that depends on who my client is. And if I ever got into a situation where, okay, it turns out my ideal clients are on Facebook,
See, let me tell you, I don't love Facebook either. And but I abhor LinkedIn because I get so much marketing BS. I mean, it happens on both, but really LinkedIn, it's like, I just feel like there's so much there. So it's so hard for me to sort through what is real and what isn't. And I just give up and go. So I do both. I don't check messages. I go, I don't care. Because it's just too much. But that's me. That might not be your ideal client. We always return to this concept of ideal client. Why? Because if your client is somebody who is looking for how to find a life coach on Facebook, you should be on Facebook. But if your ideal client feels the same way you do about Facebook, there's no reason for you to be there, right? Yeah. So that's really what I would say.
I would say Facebook is a tool in the toolbox that shouldn't hate for the sake of hating it, but if your client doesn't need that tool, then don't bother.
And we use LinkedIn, we use Facebook. We have a huge following on Facebook. We have a decent following on LinkedIn. We're growing our Instagram, but I know I don't like LinkedIn, so we hire somebody else to do that, right? Because I know that's not my strong suit. And so this might be a space where you're like, okay, my client is on Facebook, I have to be there. So I hate it. I'm going to hire somebody to do that. I'm going to invest in my business and invest some extra money in somebody doing that for me, because I know I'm not going to be able to successfully do that. And that's okay. That's okay. I always say, just know, the more you DIY it, the more time you're going to spend. The less you want to be involved, the more money you're going to spend. And that's just really the nature of marketing and business.
To move on to sort of the Zoom question, Cheryl asks, is there a preferred hosting website? Best value for new life coaches? Wix, Squarespace, WordPress, Paperbell? How do we maximize SEO, where and how? I can speak pretty well on Wix and Squarespace, less so on WordPress, because I need to know if you're talking about WordPress.com or WordPress.org or whatever. I know there's two different ones that you can be more complicated with, but I know best Wix and Squarespace, and I like both of them for a very specific reason that goes into your SEO question, is because they make SEO very user-friendly, and they have pages in the back end of your website that will address what needs to be looked at for SEO. It'll look through every single one of your pages, your descriptions, and it'll tell you explicitly, hey, you need a meta description for this picture you have on here. It'll literally give you a checklist of what you should be addressing as far as SEO goes on Wix and Squarespace. And they've got two different versions of it, where they've got the easy drag and drop, no coding kind of building of a website. And if you want to get in deeper, you can with Wix and Squarespace. So I recommend those two, although we use Wix for CLCI. I like it. Brooke, do you have any other add-ons for the SEO question?
No, it was fantastic. I love Wix for how they simplify SEO for the average person that's not a website builder and SEO expert. They really have done everything they can to make the SEO portion user friendly. And I know that Squarespace has done quite a bit in that space as well. WordPress, it depends on which one you're using, but can be very confusing and very limited. I think that anything outside of, honestly, I feel like anything out of Squarespace and Wix, they really start to tie your hands in a lot of ways, because they don't have, they haven't built out their hosting platform in such a way that is big enough to do all of the things a website is capable.
I will say the WordPress that uses Bluehost,
yes, now
that is a very complex and comprehensive.
It is very complex, and you can do anything. Like, no, don't get me wrong, you can do absolutely anything on that, but you have to have some knowledge of installing various widgets, plugins, HTML. Like, there has to be, otherwise it can get overwhelming. But there are some plugins on it that make it even easier, but still it's a little harder to maneuver.
Yeah, in terms of best value for new life, if we're literally looking at that question, best value for new life coaches who are also not experts in website building, I would go with Wix and Squarespace.
That secondary question, if a domain name you already have, you can transfer a domain. Once, if you own a domain name, it's yours. So you're allowed to transfer it to any hosting site, and every hosting site has, you can just Google how to transfer X from X to Y, right? And there will always be a step-by-step instruction on how to do that. And it's pretty straightforward, and honestly, probably a lot easier than you would guess it is. It's funny, nobody wants to turn on their cameras this one, so we're just answering questions in the chat.
I also, Square got me thinking as well. Square like Square Up and Squarespace, different things, but Square has their own Square Online, where if you want even an even simpler website that is focused on like running, doing virtual payments or invoices or scheduling, like booking clients, Square Up has Square Online, which integrates directly with their payment stuff. And
there are lots of things that will do that, but the downside of that is they're not going to have a great build out for SEO. They're not going to have a great build out for what you want it to look like or how you want it to function. And then probably because their primary job, their primary thing that they offer and do is a point of sale service, right? So they're building out that web hosting and web building as a support to that bigger thing. Why Wix and Squarespace is better is their primary job is creating a hosting and website building for a back-end user. So what they do is then integrate things like Squarespace, Square Up, and other things like that as a secondary thing to the hosting the website. So you're going to get a much larger ability to make changes and adapt, and in a space, in a platform that is its primary job is doing that, which is hosting a website.
But for everything all around value and SEO, I would recommend either Wix or Squarespace.
Yes, good. Thank you, Anthony, for answering that.
Just to simplify, there's other options out there. That's the one I would actually suggest to go with. Speaking as a consultant, not as a coach, I could coach you on this question further, but I'm giving my short and dirty answer to that.
And there's a ton of tools out there too. Honestly, it's so much easier. Also, me and one of our staff members have been building a website on Wix. Every other week we hop on, and she's building it. She just asks me questions as she goes through, and rather than throwing up her hands and giving up, she sort of works on it a bit, and then we come together and we're doing it all live, so that if there's any of our students who are choosing to build a website on Wix, hopefully that will serve as a tool to assist them in that process and to see how user-friendly it is as a platform. We should probably do the same on Squarespace at some point as well. So
but we use Wix, and that's the one
that makes it super easy
because we use it every single day.
We do, absolutely.
And of course, Wix integrates with all the fancy Google Analytics,
and they have their SEO is really in depth. Like you can add in metadata and add in all kinds of meta tags. Not a lot of other hosting sites allow for that. We have no more questions that I see.
I know. No one wants to show their faces today.
Everybody's scared of us.
Yeah. I kind of want to mention this comment from Cassie. I won't share everything about it, but talking about a lead that came from a podcast that they were guesting, talking about referrals and then other lead sources like versus Facebook, podcasting, blog writing, book writing, what other things? I'm thinking of just other ways to promote yourself or be promoted, and giving value are great ways to get referrals and leads.
And I always say, make sure that when you're on something like a podcast or you're on something, like a live stream or just anytime you're out there, don't be prepared. Give people a way to find you. Like it's sometimes so easily forgotten, or create even an offering around that. So if I'm going to go on a podcast, I'm going to make sure to have, at some point, I get to say certifiedlifecoachinstitute.com. Like that's going to, at some point, this is where you can find us, right? This is where you get me. This is how you get a hold of me. This is your next step. Don't ever make it work to find you, and don't forget to ask. So when you're on those podcasts, don't forget to say, okay, I want a link to my website. I want on that. I want when there's a write-up, if you write a blog, let's cross-link to each other. Utilize those opportunities to the nth degree, to the biggest chance you can. If you create something like what we're doing right now, you can take a live like this, and you can turn it into a podcast after you're done. You can break it up and create micro content and post out of it and do 1 minute segments, 1 minute tidbits. And then you can have somebody write a blog about it. And then you can take that blog and you can take little snippets of that blog and do a preview of the blog and post that as an ad, post that in a number of different places that can then link back to you and link back to your website. But you can take 1 hour of content and make it 1,000 things, right? So utilize all of whatever it is you're doing to the best of your ability. Never think of being on a podcast or doing one piece of content as that is all it needs to be, because one piece of content can be used in a wealth of different ways so that you don't have to keep generating and reinventing the wheel.
A good, this is more of my project management sort of background in mind. And we had a discussion about this, Brooke, about a certain project that we want to try in the future. But you never want to think of a goal or a project or something that you want to do and achieve as that's it and that's the end. Thinking about what that leads to in the next step, what can that get you and how can that sort of jumpstart other things you want to work on? So if it's a podcast, what is this podcast going to get for me in the long term? Further developing those sort of goals, or things that you want, or maybe a blog article. I want to write a blog. Okay. What is that blog going to be doing for me in 10 months from now, a year from now?
Hopefully a lot, because blogs take like a full year for them to really see.
But thinking further ahead than just the immediate goal does wonders for like sort of developing your business, developing your further, your business goals in the future.
And also
anything just stand by itself.
Be aware of timelines too. He just brought this up and I thought of it. When we write a blog, you really aren't going to see the full benefits and return on a blog for at least a year after it's been out, because of SEO, and then you've also got to support it. You've got to promote it. You can't just write a blog. You can't just create a website and just put it out there and think the world's going to come. You have to, support it, add to it, utilize it, put it out there, whether it be on business cards or just in any number of ways to drive that traffic there, drive people there. But also know when we talk about funnels, it's really talking about timelines. And there are some things that are going to get you a quicker return. And there are other things that are it's going to take a longer time to really see the results of that. But the really great thing about the things like SEO and blog writing is it takes longer to see the results, but the results will be longer lasting. They're going to be more solidifying. Having awesome SEO, you're not going to see, it takes a long time for Google to go across your site. You have to build and continue to work at it. It's a growing and breathing thing, and you have to be constantly at it. And the benefits are tremendous, but it may not be ones that you see in real time. Like the moment this goes up, I'm going to get the results. So remember to be patient, remember to support whatever it is that you're doing, and that you've got to put time and energy into promoting. And
to give a sort of real life example of this, some of you, in the class may have seen this blog, but a blog 3 years ago written by Very Well Mind is still generating effects today. It's causing people to want to take the class with us. So whatever piece of media you put out there or benefit you put out there could have effect over the course of years, to track and maintain and eventually bring in business. So
yes.
I think we are coming to the end.
I'm going to end the live
5
stream.
minutes ago.
If you want to close up the live stream.
Yeah, we'll end it now. So thank you all for joining us for the CLCI Live Lunch and Learn with our Coaching 102 students who are soon to be graduates. So be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share this video. And if you are interested in becoming a Master Certified Life Coach, be sure to check out our website, certifiedlifecoachinstitute.com, and join us for class. All right, we will see you guys later.
Don't